Man, this guy didn't want to fight.
And unification beckons. Opetaia a winner again.
I don't know. I'm not disappointed. I'm not going to say I'm disappointed.
It was a matter of time.
Because this is what Opetaia was supposed to do to an opponent like this. Let me mute it. These type of fights, yes, they're stay busy. Yes, there's not, a lot of competition in that cruiserweight division for Jai Opetaia. But also, it's unfortunate because he's got to stay active. And these type of fights against Claudio Squeo, I forgot to pronounce his name already. It doesn't help his career. This guy coming in 17-0 with 9 KOs. He's listed here at 5'10". He's no 5'10". He's about 5'8". He's built like a cruiserweight Sergey Derevyanchenko, if you know who that is. Former 160-pound contender, and currently 168. I don't know if he's retired yet, but as you can see, that guy's not no 5'10". Very stocky built fighter. And he came out with a little bit of aggression, but, in reality, you just saw the way this fight was going to go. I'm TstreeT Controversy with Fight View 360. We're here at Sunday morning, my time, 9:24 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, June the 8th, 2025. The cruiserweight division is in a bit of trouble, and I say that because you have a guy by the name of Jake Paul who's going to be fighting Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. next month, July. And if he wins, he'll likely get a ranking by one of the sanctioning bodies. And what does that mean? That means he'll be able to fight one of our 3 champions for a title, whether it's Opetaia, who I don't think it's going to be, Zurdo Ramirez, who's fighting Unia Dorticos on that Chavez Jr. card, Jake Paul Chavez Jr. card. And then you have Badu Jack, the 40-plus-year-old, who is going to be facing Noel McCallion again in a rematch because, from my understanding, the WBC ordered it. I thought that Badu Jack had won that fight, by the way. I covered that fight on the Canelo versus William School undercard, that dreadful weekend of boxing, where you had that New York card with Devin Haney, Ryan Garcia and Teofimo Lopez all in different fights. Ryan Garcia lost. Canelo ended up that next night, given the worst performances of his career against William School. And now the question is, who is Jai Opetaia going to fight next? Because it's looking like now it can't be Badu Jack. Let's go to the cruiserweight rankings right here. And if you're Gilberto Ramirez, you're going to fight Jake Paul if Jake Paul gets ranked and beats Chavez Jr. And even Badu Jack will likely fight Gilberto Ramirez because, Mexican bring in more money. And let's face it, Big J's going to come on here, my colleague, and say the fight should happen in Australia. These guys aren't coming to Australia. Boxing fans, we know that already. They're not going to go to his home. It's not going to happen. Let's listen to the particulars
of the evening. The end comes officially at 36 seconds of round number 5. Method of victory, knockout in favor of your winner and still IBF and Ring Magazine Cruiserweight Champion of the World, Jai Opetaia.
Let's listen to the post-fight interview. Take your time out, like the video, subscribe. Let me see if I can find this news on Badu Jack. And by the way, even the arena, you're only seeing like the lower bowl for the most part, but wasn't a lot of people there. Let me see. Jack. Oh, listen in. I'm looking for something.
Still, congratulations, Jai. Fantastic performance tonight. We heard our broadcast team talk about it being a mature performance tonight, really measured. What did you make of the fight tonight?
Man, I was just in a rush. I really wanted to get him out of here. I'm chasing these unification fights, and it's frustrating. But also, thank you everyone for coming out here, man. I'm truly honored to be here in front of you guys, to pack out my home. Man, I love you guys, bro, and the support I've been getting from Australia and Samoa, the Pacific Islands, everybody, man, it's been special.
Was that as polished of a performance as you've put in recent times. You looked extremely unblemished throughout that fight, hardly hit, hardly hurt. It seems like you've broken his jaw there with that final shot. So do you consider that one of your better performances, even though you're saying you're in a rush?
Oh, yeah, look at it.
Polished in there tonight.
Man, we did what we had to do. We got a lot more to go. You know what I mean? I'm chasing
here it is.
Fights. I'm chasing these world champions, and that's where I'm focused, you know. And I just want to say a massive thank you to Squeo for coming all the way out here. Everybody give Squeo.
Squeo.
Traveling all the way out here.
There you go.
Jumping in the ring, coming out here in the, you know, the Lions Den. So I appreciate you guys. Very humble dude.
This is the Lions Den, of course. In that case, now let's talk about business. Let's talk about what's next for you. You said you were frustrated. You said you wanted to get him out there. Here's your chance again. Here's your platform. Because last time you called out Zurdo. You said you were coming for him, and he just continues to run now. So what's your message now, and how do you make this happen?
Next fight, Zurdo Ramirez. You know, he's mentioned me. He's told me he'll fight me next after his mandatory. So let's get it on. I'm chasing that belt. Let's go.
Do you think he's running scared of you? Do you think everybody in the division in and around is running scared of you?
I'm not here to badmouth him, you know. I'm not here to beat him down or anything like that. He's not here to defend himself. But the fight is easy to be made. We are ready. Whenever you call, we are ready. Let's do it.
I'm going to bring Mick Francis in on this very shortly, but the talk this week has been that the texts aren't working, the emails aren't working, the correspondence of the modern day of 2025 isn't working. You're going to go over there now and confront this man in a few weeks' time. You would expect him to get over his opponent on that Jake Paul undercard. How will you go about approaching him and talking to him to say, listen, my friend, let's get this done?
Man, everything's already said, you know. We're not in the trash talking business. We're in the boxing business. And I believe I'm the best boxer in the Cruiserweight division. And that's all I want to prove, you know. So let's make the fight happen. And anyone who thinks they're the best, they're not the best until they beat me.
So that would be anywhere, anytime. Doesn't matter where it would be. Perhaps if it was in the USA, Saudi Arabia, it doesn't matter. UK, get it on. Let's do it.
Anywhere, anytime, just pick up the phone.
See, they know he's not coming over there.
There's the message there sent out. I'll bring in Mick Francis if you don't mind, Joe. I'll get you just to remain for a moment. But Mick, can you please continue and elaborate on that? Because that's what you've talked about this week. You've said you need to go and see him in a couple of weeks' time on that Jake Paul undercard. Tell me about how that's going to work and what your plan is.
Well, the plan is to go over there and actually call him out. He won't come to us. We've got to go to him. You know, he's dodging. He's been dodging for a long time. I know he's got a fight coming up. But, you know, Jai's been asking for this fight for a long time. And we need to make, he's 28-0. He deserves it. He's done the work. You know, he wants that WBO belt. Mate, it's about time we make that fight happen.
So Jai's been very humble about it, Mick, the way that he's saying, you know, I don't want to badmouth people, but does there come a point where push comes to shove and you do need to get over there, as you're saying, and really press things on to make it happen?
Look, Jai's very respectful. We all know that. And he's all about respect. But unfortunately, sometimes you've got to call people out. And we need to call him out and make him feel like he needs to fight Jai, because he is dodging, he is ducking, so we've got to make this fight happen. The only way to do it is to get on a plane, go over there and call him out.
I'm looking forward to seeing that happen, Mick. Looking forward to seeing what you guys do over there in the USA. Can you elaborate at all on what that fight looks like? I'm sure you've had like some preliminary discussions about where, when, how.
Yeah, look, obviously it's been a Riyadh season. I'd say October is the date that we've been talking about. Turkey Al Sheikh has been talking about this fight for quite a while. So we just want to make this happen, but it's up to them. They're the ones that got to say yes. You can offer all the money in the world, opportunities in the world, but they need to say yes. So we're here, we're ready, let's make it happen.
Last question, Mick. In your heart of hearts, can you see it happening? Can you see a way that a deal is forged and this fight happens? We all want to see it, especially here in Australia.
A whole lot of questions just was answered right there. Zurdo don't want that fight. He wants Jake Paul.
Out there that knows boxing
it's probably already done behind the scenes.
You know, sending a contract, making a phone call. What does your heart of hearts say about how this goes down?
Yeah, we're definitely going to get this fight. I spoke to Spencer Brown yesterday. He said it's going to happen. He's one of the most powerful men in boxing. You know, him and Turkey Al Sheikh are very, very close. He's had a conversation with Turkey. Matchroom are trying to do their best to make this happen. We've got all the people around the world that want to make this happen. They just need to sign the contract.
So it's time. It's going to happen soon. Mick, we wish you all the very best. Go well on that trip overseas. And any last words you wanted to say to the crowd here before we close it off tonight?
Absolutely. Just thank you for everyone for coming out.
You know, I think we already got the answers right there. Opetaia and his team are going to travel over in 3 weeks to the Chavez Jr. Jake Paul card. Zurdo Ramirez in the co-feature is going to be taking on Uniel Dorticos, a very competent fighter, hard puncher. But I've been hearing, and the rumors have been circulating, that if Jake Paul beats Chavez Jr., Zurdo Ramirez and Jake Paul is probably going to be announced that night, maybe even that weekend. I mean, maybe even that very next week. And of course, Zurdo has to win as well. When is that fight again? Let me check my bad. I think it's the 28th of July. Or was it the 18th? I think it's like the 20-something. There's Big J. Take your time out. Like the video. Subscribe. So before I just click record again, I was already telling Big J, as we talked about at the beginning of the video, is that Zurdo Ramirez fight, in my opinion, is already done. When they announced Zurdo Ramirez versus Uniel Dorticos with Jake Paul and Chavez Jr. leading the event, that should tell you something right there. Why is Zurdo Ramirez fighting on a Jake Paul card? Jake Paul fights at Cruiserweight. Jake Paul has been itching to get a ranking and fight for a title shot for the last couple of years now. And because of the money that he brings in, and he has a very powerful growing promotional company in MVP Promotions, these sanctioning bodies, all they want is the money. So they have the perfect reason by placing him, by putting him against the unfortunate, I'm going to say the generational fuck up in Chavez Jr. You know, they say, okay, we'll give you somebody that was a former world champion, but if he does fight, he kind of has to be ranked. So do not be surprised if we hear, especially once the fight happens in, what's that date again? June. Oh, yeah.
June,
Oh, no, June 28th. That's in
26th.
3 weeks. Yeah, that's in couple. Yeah. So that's in, well, 3 weeks. So I thought it was next month. So do not be surprised the closer we get to the fight or on fight night. And boxing, I've seen them do this before, kind of sneakily say, and the winner of this is going to get a ranking. They may not announce it yet, but look for the winner of Jake Paul and Chavez Jr. to get a ranking. And a ranking just so happens in the WBA. I don't see the WBO doing it, but the WBA could do it. And if Zurdo Ramirez goes on to beat his current WBA mandatory in Uniel Dorticos, then he won't have any more mandatories, because remember, he beat Chris Billum-Smith for the belt. So he would have a voluntary, and he can go on to fight Jake Paul to make, 20, 30 plus $1 million. So why would he fight Opetaia? And you can hear in Opetaia in his who is Nick Francis to him? Is that one of his co-managers, or is he a promoter?
No, that's Mick Francis is the promoter and founder of Tasman Fighters.
Okay, got you. So anyway, you can hear, in his post-fight interview as well, was basically saying, look, we're going to go over, to that fight, offer Zurdo some money. And also, Opetaia has the backing of the Saudis. But Zurdo, if he can go have an easier fight and fight Jake Paul, why would he take it? So, I mean, and also, let me just say this. How do you pronounce this guy's name again? I keep forgetting. They were saying it all night. Squeo?
Yeah, see, I think Squeo, yeah.
Yeah, so, that guy really, the body language, he didn't really seem like he came to fight. So
he looked like a blown up bloody super middleweight. I mean, because he weighed in 86 kilo. He didn't even come close to the weight limit. Looked like a blown up bloody, light heavyweight.
And also, he's listed at 5'10". That guy ain't no 5'10".
Bullshit. He was freaking 5'8" at best.
Yeah, I said the same thing. So Opetaia did what he was supposed to do, but a fight like that don't help him. It stayed busy, yes. But, what are you really, really doing? That's not trending. That's not having anybody talking about him. That's not making any highlights anywhere. So, what are your thoughts on the fights and possibly what's next for Zurdo? For Opetaia?
Well, Joe Opetaia, you can't remain an A-grade fighter if you keep fighting C and D-grade talent. Because you just make it look too easy, which means that you start taking things, you start getting complacent and go, I can just knock this guy out easy. Mm-hmm. And you start, it's called skill fade. I learned that term when I was in the army. Right? Skill fade, because you're not performing at the optimum level all the time. Yeah, he's beating the shit out of these guys. And to be honest, I thought he should have done it in 3 rounds, not 5, because David Nika was a far better, more credible opponent than this bloke, and it took him 5 rounds to get rid of him. So, and then of course the old smash him in the guts while he's got his hand over the back of his head bloody trick. So wasn't too impressed with that. I don't think it was intentional, but still it happened. But Jai Opetaia, the problem is, as we've said a million fucking times, the cruiserweight division is weak as fucking piss.
Yeah.
It's one of the weakest divisions in boxing. Always has been, always bloody will be. So what do you expect the poor bugger to do? But I mean, surely the IBF can throw him a bit better meat than what they gave him tonight. I mean,
well, unfortunately, as we talked about, he's got that mandatory coming up too.
Old mate, the bloke he was supposed to fight in January.
Yeah, Sin Cara,
that's it. Yeah, that's right. So, I mean, I'm with you. I don't think Jai will get the Ramirez fight. I mean, they were saying that Ramirez is ducking him. I don't think you can duck a unification fight because you're under no obligation to fight him.
correct.
I think you can only duck a mandatory. So, if you're ordered to fight someone and you pay them step-aside money to fight someone else, you're clearly ducking somebody. So yeah, I mean,
I'm thinking in some hypotheticals here. Let's say, right, well, the WBC already ordered Badu Jack and Noah McCallion to fight an immediate rematch, and the WBC doesn't do that. But for those who don't know, Noah McCallion is a Don King fighter, and Don King, yes, he's still alive, has deep ties with the WBC. So, there's some shenanigans right there for that immediate rematch. And me personally, I think that Badu Jack did just enough to win, but that's just my opinion. And then the mandatory is Ryan Rozecki. So the WBC already is tied up. So Badu Jack is ruled out, unless he can come up with money for 2 step-asides, which I don't see happening. Even, don't get me wrong, the Saudis are powerful and they got the money, but for some reason, I just don't see it happening. And I don't see Badu Jack jumping to go fight Opetaia when he can go possibly beat Noel McCallion even clearer and beat Ryan Rozecki. Why go fight Opetaia? Even though it is another belt there. And remember, Badu Jack's at the end of his career. The guy's 40 plus years old. And Gilberto Ramirez, well, as you can see, he's linked to Uniel Dortigo's fighting him in a few weeks. And he can fight that fight and then go fight Badu Jack or whatever the case. Opetaia right now is I hate to use this term, but these fighters, I feel, see something that, I don't want to deal with him right now. I only deal with him when I have to, like a boogeyman pretty much. Like and that's what it's looking like. And it's looking like in this weak division, the only possible fight for him is Chris Billum Smith, because Chris Billum Smith, if not the mandatory, I believe he's going to be the mandatory again for the WBO, because the WBO rankings are so shitty. So it's in Opetaia's best interest, if he can't get nobody else, then to go after Chris Billum Smith fight to try to buy himself some time. And Chris Billum Smith wins because he'll be able to get another title shot without having to wait for the politics, and maybe another significant payday on an Aussie card, because they're trying to make this Opetaia Zurdo fight in October. But let's face it, I don't think it's going to be. I don't think it's going to be Zurdo. And as I'm looking at the rankings, my gosh, there's just nothing there. Unless he can luck up and possibly pull out a power move with the Saudi money, and they could maybe make the winner of Better BF versus Bevo 3 face, Opetaia, because both of those guys have expressed interest in moving up, especially Better BF to Cruiserweight. So basically, to not be long-winded, Opetaia, if he doesn't get Zurdo or Jack, he fights CBS and then fights the winner of Bevo Better BF3, and possibly have that Opetaia CBS on the undercard of Better BF Bevo 3, because Bevo Better BF, since Bevo won the last fight. So that's what it's looking like to me. I'm trying to look at scenarios when it's not when it's not Zurdo Ramirez or Badu Jack. But the options are slim.
Yeah, they are. I mean, it's very, very slim pickings, and as you said, Jai might just get sick of this shit and move up to heavyweight, where there's much better competition and much more money to be had, because I can't imagine he'd be getting paid too much to beat up the Italian bloke.
No. And it would be a premature move to heavyweight, as we said. He would just be forced up to the division because he can't get big fights in his own.
Well, I mean, there's only 2 big fights for him. Oh, well, unless Unless by some miracle Jake Paul wants to fight him.
Yeah, but yeah, right. I don't see that.
Yeah. How quickly you reckon Jai would knock the fuck out of Jake Paul? 2 rounds?
Yeah, it's a different type of style. You know, he don't want to deal with that type of boxer.
Oh Jesus! God, what I wouldn't give the bloke. I'll have 30 mil to beat the shit out of Jake Paul.
Yeah.
I'd gladly. Beat
And also, you know, Mexican money, Mexican fighters bring in a lot of money. So you know, of course, Jake Paul will pick the Mexican fighter.
Yeah, of course.
You know, you can put that in a stadium somewhere. You know.
Well, exactly. Yeah. Well, Dave, it's good business sense. I mean, if he makes 30, 40 million bucks to, punch on with Ramirez, why the hell not? So,
yeah. Well, we're going to see how this plays out. Closing thoughts?
Well, just another run-of-the-mill performance by Jai. Nothing really to critique. I mean, he smacked old mate out. He probably should have smacked him in 3 instead of 5. What else is there to say, really?
Anything sticks out on the undercard?
Didn't really see much of the undercard, to be honest with you. Conor Wallace had a good... Oh, yeah, Conor... That poor bastard's fucking stuck between a rock and a hard place. He's never going to get his title shot at light heavyweight. He's the number 2 contender at IBF.
Yeah, I'm looking at it, yeah.
That poor bastard's never going to get his bloody title shot. In fact, any contender at light heavyweight, how long is this bloody Bivol Benavidez number 3 going to drag out for?
Well, and then it's going to be David Benavidez after that, who's supposed to possibly get a shot. And then you got Callum Smith. So Conor Wallace, the way it's looking, he wouldn't be, I would say maybe a year and a half at the earliest getting a title shot, maybe.
What's he now? 26, 27, 25?
Yeah, let me check real quick. 29.
Fuck, he's almost 30. I didn't think he's that old.
Yeah, 29.
So his bloody prime is starting to pass him by.
Yeah, he's stuck in the politic bullshit in the division. And there's a Michael Eifert who's ranked ahead of him, who I've seen him fight Jean Pascal. I don't know. That would be a 50-50 fight to me. So he's not even a full mandatory yet. He has to fight the final eliminator.
Exactly. Which he was supposed to do that like last year.
Yeah, he's stuck in some limbo right there.
Yeah, he's stuck in limbo, so that's unfortunate for him. Yeah, I mean, no, there was nothing else really on the undercard of note that I took notice of because I didn't watch it, so I can't really.
Yeah, I don't listen.
Can't really make comment.
I don't blame you. Well, with that being said, we will be here next week. Hopefully, Kambosos and Richardson Hitchens can I don't want to say live up to the hype, but ignite some hype for a fight that really no one here in the States is looking forward to, given both fighter styles and George Kambosos' continued. I don't know what he's done for him to be forced down our throats like this, but shout out to George Kambosos for making that money. With that being said, thanks for watching. Please subscribe, and we will see you guys next week.